Since I came, I think I'm really overwhelmed by what I'm seeing, because we live in two different worlds.
Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa and 7th most populated in the world. About 70% of Nigeria's occupants live on less than $1.25 a day. In rural areas, Nigerians depend on income through agriculture, but 80% still live under the poverty line, and half of these people lack safe drinking water. Out in these rural areas, farmers lack roads and technology to transport agriculture, leading to spoilage, malnutrition, and severe price fluctuation. Drought and deforestation have also caused trouble for farmers and residents trying to make a living. 34.25% of young adults are enrolled in secondary school. Only 45.6% of women are enrolled in school, and only 48.66% of all adults are literate. The poverty dramatically affects children, so they cannot gain access to the nutrition required to survive and grow. This man is named Emmanuel, and he had very different ideas about helping the impoverished children of Jos, Nigeria. He was the principal of a school in Jos when he got in touch with the Dalai Lama Foundation, and in 2009 joined Project Happiness, where the senior class of Mount Madonna School headed to India to interview His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
But honestly, I think listening to the Dalai Lama, his idea of a better world, his recommendations on how we can make this world better for ourselves today and for our children really appealed to me. For me, I felt I'm a Christian from far away Nigeria, and I was sitting before. He always regards himself as a Buddhist, simple Buddhist monk, and he was actually addressing the very questions that were troubling my mind. And I took a decision right there, even before we got back home, that was the moment for me to do something different. If we want to have a change in our society, then we cannot continue to do the same kind of things and expect a different result. So I made up my mind there and then. We have an educational system back home that is focused more on developing our cognitive capacities. And that has been happening for quite some time. And so we have young people, including myself, who have passed through that system of education, which only prepares us to get good certificates, to be able to get jobs and get money, and we think by doing that we'll be able to live the good life. And we've had a lot of people pass through that process. We have a lot of people with PhDs, master's degrees in different fields, but that has not helped to make our society better. And I've been asking myself a lot of questions concerning this. What actually is our problem? Despite the amount of wealth that we have, because Nigeria is richly blessed with huge human potentials, huge mineral resources. We are the 6th largest producer of oil in the world, and yet, with all this education we are receiving, what is actually the problem?
Emmanuel decided to carry out what he calls his purpose and began developing a new type of education not familiar to the people of Nigeria.
Our focus is on values. The reason is that we have a national curriculum of education that clearly states the quality and content of instruction that should be given to students or young people through the different levels of education. So we end up having a lot of PhDs, even the National Assembly, are politicians who are occupying leadership positions. So they have all these big degrees. But these are the same people who will embezzle money that should be used for public, money that will be committed into building schools where young people can have access to education, money that will be used in building hospitals so that our mothers will stop dying during childbirth. Money that will be used in building good roads so that we can move up very freely and providing other social amenities. So if we have people with PhDs, and so many of them, and yet they are doing this kind of things I have mentioned, then we begin to question the kind of education they receive. Is that actually education or something else?
So with his own hands, Emmanuel built a school that provided education for impoverished children who might otherwise not have access to it. But in constructing the school, Emmanuel created an aspect of it that no other school in Nigeria has. His school is value-based education, teaching the universal human values that help kids develop the capacity to be more compassionate, empathetic, and caring, while developing a universal responsibility to help others.
I think something like corporal punishment, we have to stop it, and then do more of counseling and talking to young people when they go wrong.
Emmanuel made sure to build the school upon a foundation of positive ethical conduct, and even changed certain societally accepted practices that did not follow the values of compassion and empathy for others. Flogging, or punishing the students by beating them with sticks, was a form of consequence that Emmanuel quickly eliminated in his school. Following the Dalai Lama's value of nonviolence, Emmanuel decided to counsel the students instead and talked with them about how they can change their disruptive behavior.
Most of the schools you go to, it is either an entirely Christian school or entirely Muslim.
Emmanuel and Joseph's mother, Shannon Frediani, conducted a workshop for peace that gathered Christians and Muslims to meet and discuss solutions to end violence between the two religious groups. This event gained national media attention and helped end tensions and separation between Muslims and Christians in Jos.
We visited just a few months after they'd officially started as a school, and the idea was to bring them the support they needed to function and to give them something else that no other school had.
Joseph and Covey brought laptops and educational resources, such as online textbooks that don't require internet.
They were always very, very welcoming and grateful, and we were able to bond surprisingly easily with them, even though sometimes the way we talked and the way they talked were very different, and we had a little bit of trouble understanding each other. We were in the end able to get past that.
They were so welcoming because I think they realized the opportunity they were being given, and they showed the utmost gratitude for that. And so when it came time to teach the students how to use the computers and how to use the digital library, they were super respectful, but also there was such a thirst for knowledge that there was never any problems. You never had to tell someone to get back on task or something. It was always telling them that it was time. That was it. They didn't have more time. They had to leave now. We never had negative problems. The definition of a third world country is a lot different on paper than watching it, going through it. Seeing actual corruption was one of the biggest things for me. Once we had set up the lab and taught the kids how to use it, we would do things like we would search for pictures of the pyramids of Giza, or the kids hadn't even seen pictures of Earth from outer space. Things that we take for granted. They had never heard of the Egyptians or the Greeks. This stuff never reached their curriculum. These kind of things that I think we all kind of take for granted. We read books when we were little, all the histories, Everyone knows about those things in our culture, but they didn't have that. It completely shifted my perspective. This is what learning is. But they've never had an opportunity like that before. This man works so incredibly hard for what he believes in, and it means so much to those around him. It's really an amazing opportunity to be able to help him.
for me, I've discovered my purpose in life. I've actually found out what will give meaning to my life as an individual. And through that, I've discovered also what will help put me in a position where I'll be able to make some contribution to bringing about change in the society.
So if this short film has at all moved you or inspired you, then you have an opportunity to help. All donations will go directly to buying educational resources for these students, such as laptops, textbooks, and scholarships. Checks can be made out to Mount Madonna School. If you want to revolutionize the foundation of education and give the opportunity of learning to kids who might not have it, then help us donate today.